I do know it's more of a. There are some coin flips.
For sure.
Baneling aggression, Ling aggression, but with the economy change, it does help to go. You can play a little bit more safer than you would in HOTS, right? Like 10-pull Bane was pretty, like.
I would argue that CVC is a lot less volatile in Legacy of the Void than it's ever been.
Okay.
There's a wide variety of builds and strategies to go for that will just not die. A lot of people seem to think that the early pulls are really strong. I personally don't. I think that they are strong, but they're strong as they have always been. We are, of course, already loaded into the game, so let's go with the introductions, Kawaiian.
So, spawning in the top position of Dust Towers, we have, from Samsung Khan, the yellow Zerg player, Solar. And spawning in the bottom position with that early pull, it is from Team Liquid, the red Zerg player, Snute.
And again, I will point out, I'm not a huge fan of early pulls on this particular map. Now, Snute might be doing it because it's a safe thing to do. When I go for an early pull for safety, I usually tend to delay the gas a little bit more. But taking the gas means that Snute wants to commit to link speed timing, right? Like, you don't want to get your link speed if you're not going to be using it early on. So he might open with 2 links for scouting, but Solar doing what I normally do on maps like this, going for a hatch first. Why? Again, the natural expansion is tucked inside the main, basically, which makes it so that the rush distance from natural to natural is pretty much longer than main to main. That makes it so that only your main, for the most part, is a liability against early pull. And like this, the only reason you would ever do a build like this, I think it's because it's so unexpected in a map like this. Again, the ramp leading into both bases will make it relatively easy for the queens to also cover.
Yeah.
If the queens can get on the ramp, the aggression will be, thwarted and potentially make it a lot easier to trade for the defending player. So Snute with a very aggressive build and
a
his
baneling nest.
Yeah, and a baneling nest, of course. So he's gonna have to basically stay on top of Solar's ramp. But on other maps, sometimes you block the ramp with the queens, and forfeit your natural. But here, if you block the ramp, they can't get into your main or natural. So Snute is pretty much committed to having these links up the ramp of Solar the entire time, or picking off queens. And if he's not able to do so, he will be in a lot of trouble. So already, I would say a slight build order advantage for Snute.
Oh, definitely.
But it's again, like if Solar doesn't go for a hatch first, it's extremely easy to defend, I think. And even here, I think that he has a solid chance, and he is a great player. So we'll see how he reacts to this. First and foremost, he started a baneling nest before link speed, so that's gonna come in handy later on. And right now he's looking for trades with his links, even if it's somewhat inefficient. Both queens are already heading towards the ramp. Oh, good hits by Snute, but not great, actually.
Wasted both banelings on it.
Yeah, and that means that he can no longer zone out links. He's really going for this queen as he doesn't want the ramp blocked like we talked about before. These 2 banelings are just, again, for zoning out links. But we see that Solar has been trading links the entire time. So Snute, another wasted baneling. They're not really necessary by Snute, but he's morphing a few more. But Solar is also morphing banelings. Now, Solar morphing banelings out in the open, not advisable. And losing the queen is actually pretty big. Solar not able to get that last baneling either, and things are starting to look pretty good for Snute. Now, had he only 1 baneling there, the things could be a lot different. But no, Snute committing for the drones, a decision that I don't particularly like, but gets 4 links, and that's huge for that baneling. That's a great trade. Now, the drones have to be really careful, but I'm not sure if I would have committed to the drones, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. It looks like Snute with a surprising Game 1 victory against Solar. It's still a very close
very
defense,
close.
Despite Solar having what most people would consider a big build order disadvantage. I think that it's pretty doable. Had he not lost that queen,
he did really well until the very end.
Pull the drones over.
Yeah.
He had a couple of times where he lost a few too many links to banelings, but there were times where he was looking like he was gonna hold as well. So one thing is also he was already mining the gas. If your gas is a little bit later, you can just forfeit the gas.
Get a spine? Would you get a spine then?
Yeah, basically, when you take the gas in a Zerg versus Zerg and your opponent is going for an early pull, most of the time, as we saw this game, whatever you're getting with the gas will not come into play. Like, Solar invested into a baneling nest.
And we didn't even see that. We didn't see banelings.
Yeah.
They were morphing, but they didn't get out.
That's 100 minerals. 50 gas, another 50 minerals from a drone. So that's 150 minerals, 50 gas, drones that were mining gas instead of mining minerals, which could have been, even more minerals, in things that would have actually mattered for the defense, like an extra queen or an extra even 2 queens or a queen and a spine or extra links. So a lot of the time when I see early aggression, I prefer to just not use my gas or take out of gas, or even cancel the gas
cancel
if you're
if
in
you
time
can,
if you're in. If
But
you're
that was
in
a
time to do
really
that.
early pull.
Indeed. Thank you.
So going on to Preon Terraces, do you think the gold base is going to be taken? I mean, we have seen ZVZs where the gold is taken.
I really like using the gold on this map. Not necessarily taking it as your first hatchery. If anyone goes hatch first, I would think that most of the time you're gonna take the normal hatchery, because against early pools, the gold is gonna be a huge liability.
Yeah.
Because transferring drones, those drones are not gonna kick in for the defense right away, and they are a liability at the gold. And if you're taking the gold, you really want to transfer those drones early on, right? So the way you can use the gold is by going pool first and then taking the hatchery, or even like a build that I really like that I've been experimenting with and exploring is going, and Snute is going for a very early pool again, by the way, is going for the like a 14 pool with a delayed gas, faking pressure, making your opponent potentially overreact.
And if they did take that gold, then you could punish it.
Yeah, you can punish it or just force an overreaction and then take your own gold behind it. To catch back up in economy.
So Snute is being the aggressive player, not getting that quick hatchery. Probably thinking that since Solar's the Zerg player that he is, that he has to beat him now in the early stages where he can get that slight advantage with the build order when it doesn't really matter in the mid game.
Yeah, and look at this Snute with a similar concept. You could say he's going to be taking that fast gold. Now this in turn is going to mean that he's not going to be making many links, if any at all, out of this pool. He's probably just going to make the queen right away, followed by the speed, and then have links early enough to potentially, apply some pressure when the speed is about to finish. So we see the queen being done and the speed, but maybe just 2 links, and then we might see Snute back to droning until he gets in those extra larvae and can produce more links.
And would this would have been worse if Solar took the gold, correct? Just because it's you can't wall off with the queens, because can you get 2 queens in time for this pool to defend against it from 1 hatchery, or do you need both the queen from the natural and the main to block up that ramp?
Those pop up usually pretty close together, right?
Okay.
Like Solar already has two queens in production because he did go hatch first, and Snute is actually being incredibly aggressive. Not now he's going back to droning like I said he might do. So again, he's gonna start producing more and more links once the speed and the baneling nest get closer. And in the meanwhile, he's going to get a higher income than he normally would with less drones than he normally would need. So a really cute opener by Snute here, taking advantage of the features of the map. And his baneling nest is considerably earlier than Solar's as well.
Yeah.
His speed is almost done, so we're going to see links in production soon, I would guess. Otherwise, again, why would you get the speed and the baneling nest if you're not planning to use it? Unless he determines that the gold is enough of an advantage, but I really don't think so. And Solar is actually droning up right now. He's scouting for those 2 links that could be morphing into banelings. So, yeah, not going to find them because they're not there. And he's making a spine right now. In production, we see more drones being added for Snute and some drones being added for Solar. So Snute trying to force an overreaction and has actually...
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. He's managed to pull ahead in drones. And not just that, but he also has the gold. So Snute in a very good position already. Solar is floating a few more resources than Snute, so he will be able to catch back up. And right now, he has actually an extra 3 drones. So the income difference is not as brutal as you would think from the extra player having a gold. Now, one thing that people don't really, maybe know all the time when a gold is in play is that the gold will allow you to mine more efficiently with less workers. However, once both players are saturated on 2 base, the advantage is pretty much null, right? So
yeah,
Snute has to be careful because the gold will also mine out quicker for him. And once Solar does take his gold, he will have that influx of minerals.
It would just pretty much swing back the other way.
Yeah. So a lot of people, I think, overestimate
the power of gold
bases, exactly. So right now, if we look at the income, it's not that big of a difference at all, really. and both players are in similar drone counts. And again, that's because they're close to full saturation, and that's when the gold stops being as effective.
Solar does get that crucial scouting though on Snute's Roach Warren and the +1. So he's going for Spire. He already has the Spine, so you might as well use it defensively and wait till mutas come out.
That is a great point. Yeah, like spines are pretty much usually what you want when you're going muta, because links are never going to trade effectively against roaches, but spines are great against them in turn. So yeah, all in all, a good strategy by Solar. Now I'm curious to see as to what Snute does with his lair. Upon scouting a Spire, he could go for and our screen froze, but yeah. Oh, it's back. Okay, we're Gucci. I'm not sure if we like the game. Hopefully not.
Do you think he might go for a Nidus?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
If he identifies that the Spire is coming from Solar, he could very well do that. But it's getting a little late for it, so he might just choose to push out the good old way.
It is hard, but there's no developed creep spread.
No, but he has an Overlord in the middle of the map, and that might help. Like you can see, he's trying to spread creep
Every
with
little
Overlords.
bit counts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Solar, of course, trying to get in position. He has 2 banelings morphed so that, if there is a Nidus, he can easily take care of that. So Nidus pretty much out of the question for Snute, unless he wants to, Nidus outside of Solar's space.
So he's going to have to deal with the mutas, which might be annoying if he's trying to creep spread, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we see Spores already being added for Snute, so he knows pretty much what's coming. But Solar with the Muta will gain map control, and that's going to be pretty important for him. So he's playing a very safe game, saying, all right, you can get away with your gold.
Yeah.
I don't mind because I had the hatch first anyway,
Yeah.
so our income
The
will
longer
be...
the game goes, the more he'll be in his favor, because he has the mutas out, he has the air control. So as Snute, you're pretty much just based on these queens, pushing up the creep spread and slowly pushing. He did take out the main gas geysers, just mining minerals in the main and only mining the gases at the gold base. So pretty much going for that mass queen roach composition.
Yeah, and he wants to basically produce as many drones as possible, saturate 3 base. When your opponent goes for Muta, that is a heavy tech option, and what they're gonna gain with that is map control. So what that allows you to do is take a faster third like Snute did. Snute is already mining off of his third, and he will have the economic advantage. So if he defends properly, all he will be losing is map control. But a lot of these queens are getting picked off here, and that could be huge.
Transfuse though.
Yeah, but there's not any transfuse left, and Solar identifying this. And you might be wondering why is he fighting these queens? Well, that's why, because they don't have transfuse anymore. And now Snute's gonna take a lot of damage with this to this roaches, but he will look for a potentially third deny, and I think he will be able to get it. It's gonna be really close.
Yeah, there's no ground army
Actually,
for
it's
Solar.
not,
It's just Muta. So the delayed lings are coming in, and they're gonna be able to get that, and maybe even go into the natural. Or would you just pull back, as we see?
No, he has to absolutely pull back. I mean, he's gonna retain his economic lead now, and he didn't lose actually that much of an army, despite losing some of the queens early on.
So Snute's in a really good position.
Oh,
right
he's
now.
in an excellent position. Yeah, potential to upset the one of the best Circs in the world 2-0. So when Solar engages this queen, Snute is gonna move across the map. He's saying, okay, if you want to kill my queens, I will kill you. Actually losing 3 Muta, and Solar in a really bad spot right now. However, Snute not really committing to the roaches. It was just basically saying, hey, leave my queens alone, or you will lose
another hatch.
Another hatch, yeah. So I'm not sure if Snute really needed to pull back with the roaches, though. I think that maintaining that economic lead and even taking a 4th now, he can afford to throw away units and trade cost inefficiently because his income is significantly higher than Solar's right now.
So as Solar, why would you take the other gold base instead of your original gold base that got picked off? Because you still have the gas geysers there. So
he probably feels like he's behind and he wants to take a
semi-ninja.
Yeah, pretty much semi-ninja for third, because Snute is going to be scouting for Solar's gold first, and if he doesn't see it, he may not check the other one, and in doing that, Solar could catch back up in economy. So he is also continuing to commit to the Muta, and Snute hasn't really transitioned into anything that will allow him to effectively deal with the Muta. If he had Infestors out, for example, this could be pretty much lights out for Solar.
Yeah. But he's still investing in Muta, so Muta is literally the only way for him to win at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, good identifying by Solar that Snute really hasn't taken the gases or anything like that, and he's gonna shut down this 4th, but at the cost of pretty much everything. He has to pull back the Muta. I mean, this is gonna be so dangerous.
This
for,
push.
Yeah, and there's so many queens with it as well. So Solar's gonna have to pretty much, if Solar gets a Muta count high enough to start one-shotting queens, the transfuse will not matter. So that's what he's trying to do, and will it be enough? It's
no transfuses though. Oh, there you go. Very delayed though.
yeah,
he lost
wasn't
like
paying
4
attention.
queens.
He's gonna lose all of his queens, and he has to do a lot of damage with these roaches. Let's see what they can do, because these queens are dead, and there's spines, a lot of spines for Solar. So pretty much what Solar was hoping for is this. You know, like, he made enough Muta to deal with the queens. He perfectly identified that Snute wasn't taking the gas, and in doing that, Muta were the right choice. Again, once you get a big enough number to deal and one-shot the queens, or nearly one-shot the queens, it becomes so much harder for the Muta player. Now, Snute with the mined out gold, the income is actually going to start favoring Solar, who has for the first time taking a solid lead. It's almost double right now, as you pointed out. So Solar now in a dominant position. And
just
Snute
like that,
finally transitioning. Yeah, he's finally transitioning into an infestation bit. I think that upon seeing that Solar was adding Muta, because it was very apparent that he was adding Muta nonstop, Snute should have looked for a faster tech
like Infestor?
transition, like Infestor, like he's doing right now.
But it's too late.
Because, yeah, it's too late. He could have stayed very safe with those Muta. Instead, he tried to go for the killing blow, and it didn't work out. Especially because Snute didn't know about Solar's third. He really had very little reason to move out onto the map.
But he will take this out.
And yeah, but still, Solar retains an advantage even then, because he's gonna kill so much army in return, that I'm not sure what Snute is gonna be able to do from here.
Yeah.
Now, what I would like from Solar is a different transition, because upon committing to Muta, if Snute gets like 5 fungals or a good chain fungal onto all of his Muta, that's his way back into the game. He's making 3 infestors right now. Probably gonna see him continue to produce those as he is floating some gas
Supplies though is such a rock to climb though for Snute. Like, he had the advantage, and he pretty much just threw it. And without a third gold base in sight, I mean, he does have this natural that he got later, so it does have some minerals in it. But he is relatively broke right now.
Yeah, he's just pretty much just banking on great fungals, and Solar potentially knows this. Just leaving a few Muta here and there, he's basically saying, okay, like, you can't deal with my Muta with your queens anymore. I took down so many of them, so I don't need to risk having all of my Muta in a clump. If you wanna fungal these, and look at even splitting like this small number of Muta, he's basically saying, if you have infestors, I'm not gonna care too much about it. Like, this is how I deal with them, by not committing my entire army to it. So Snute's still gonna look for fungals, but even if he gets perfect fungals onto this clump of Muta, Solar's not gonna care too much.
Do you think Solar could go into roaches? I mean, he's getting lings now, but I mean, roaches would be safety against infestors, right?
Yeah, roaches. If Solar goes into roaches, he can't possibly lose this.
Oh,
this is
huge
what we were talking about.
fungal.
This could be the way back into the game for Snute. This
if
is
he has
huge.
one more fungal lined up, and it lands.
He needs one more though, and he doesn't have it. Oh my god!
And he lost almost all of his infestors. How many infestors are left? There are none.
Yeah. That was 18 Muta. That's
crazy.
36 supply in Muta that could have closed the gap significantly for Snute. I mean, Solar is still just on 3 base. And again, this is the liability of not
he's
switching tech, right?
Like,
committing
walking
everything.
those spores across the map, and
that's going to be GG. But
great game.
What a close game. Great
back and
comeback.
forth.
Great comeback from Solar. I think that Snute had all the tools that he needed to win that game. He had
the late transfuses though on the queens though. Like, he lost 4.
I don't think that mattered. I think the queens were doomed to fail.
It's a tech swap. Like,
it's the lack of a tech switch from Snute that killed him. I think he had enough of an economic lead that he could have just gone for the tech switch. But Solar identified that there wasn't a tech switch coming, and he committed to Muta, which if Snute had made infestors
earlier on
with that number of queens, there's no way that Solar stops it with just Mutaling. So, again, a little bit late on the transition from Snute, but overall a great game. He had a plan, basically, and he executed it, and maybe he didn't adapt as well as he could have. But great game indeed, and that's going to even the series 1-1. And again, in turn, I think that Solar should have also transitioned out. Because
the risk, like, he almost lost the game. Like, he almost threw it again. Like, the throws on each side.
Maybe close the gap. Maybe not lost the game even then. But there was no reason to take that risk at all. Like,
go into roaches.
Getting fungled. Yeah, go into roaches, into lurkers, into really anything on the ground would have sealed the deal with a higher economy. Like, Snute was never going to be able to catch up in that regard. So,
intense
indeed.
And very intense.
IBD.
What?
IBD intense or MYA. MYA intense.
Andrew, if you're watching. What? I love Andrew. I don't know if he's watching.
What a match.
What a game. It kind of reminded me of that old GSO Buell and I forget who, but he got like a huge fungal, and that almost topped it.
Yeah,
Just
that
one
was,
more.
That was gigantic.
Mom spaghetti, but he whiffed on the infestor. I don't think he had
I don't
enough
think
energy.
he whiffed. Yeah, he didn't have enough. He didn't have the extra infestor.
Yeah.
Basically, Solar I think picked one of the 5 off.
Oh, and
you
the-
need,
yeah.
you need perfect chain fungals pretty much. So Snute again with the early pull. I guess this is just what he's comfortable with, and he has seen that Solar has been going pull first, or hatch first.
Yeah.
And Solar, defending Snute's aggression last time, I think, and coming close in the first game must be somewhat comfortable going for the hatch first. So he's gonna go for it once again, and again on this particular map.
There's the back pocket expansion. So it's just like Dust Towers, pretty much, except it's a little bit smaller. But
It might be
Solar's
actually a longer rush distance
Is
because of the
because
middle
you
of
have to
the
go
map.
around. Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I think that Solar at this point should have just played it safe.
Yeah.
But I think this is pretty defendable. Still a slight perhaps
Advantage to
advantage
Snute.
to Snute just off of build orders. So anything can happen here. If you have your chips on Snute, you got a decent chance to win here. And likewise if you have your chips on Solar, maybe.
I mean, if there's anyone to beat Solar, it might be like I would say Snute.
Yeah, it's very likely.
Like top EUGM Zerg.
Yeah.
He's always been top foreigner in the scene. And
Definitely.
I mean, he had that second, like, he's put on really great games. So this could be it. And look, he's even sending the links around, not getting scouted by the Overlord.
Yeah, but the Overlord will see the reinforcing links, and that's enough of a tell for Solar. So yeah, he's already saving up Larva. He's not making the extra drone and making a spine blindly. So this is pretty good. And he's going for the baneling nest first again because he was already mining gas. So we'll see if the baneling nest actually comes into play this time around. Because that's really what Solar needs. He's already invested into this. He didn't go gasless.
But the spine is protected.
Yeah, and Snute actually going for the baneling nest. I'm not sure how much I like that. Solar is actually gonna want to protect that baneling nest and pulling some drones. This is gonna make it hard for Snute to actually morph banelings, and this is a great trade for Solar. Oh my god, I can't believe Snute committed into that without banelings, because like now he has such a few links. And Solar can continue to commit with his links. I'm actually a little bit surprised that he's not, because trading links against links, even if you have less links than your opponent,
You have defender's advantage too.
yeah, it's gonna be useful if your opponent's going for banelings, because banelings will zone out a lot of links. Like you can see there, like it killed like 6 links with 1 baneling, right? But the spine is actually gonna help zone out, and now Solar with the banelings,
And
it
Snute
looks
goes
like
back
he's
to droning.
Yeah, he's gonna be able to defend, and Snute goes back to droning, but this is gonna be so hard to come back from. I mean, he doesn't even have a natural hatchery, and again on this particular map, because there is the back pocket expansion, it's gonna be super hard for Snute to, like, normally where the links are parked could be attacking a hatchery normally, right? Like normally the hatchery would be the natural hatch would be in front and it would become a liability, but because the natural is stuck inside the main here, yeah, the only place that Snute can attack
Is up the ramp.
and,
Where there will be
and into
queens.
the main, exactly.
And he's getting creep tumor for the spine to move up.
And once he blocks off the ramp, there's not much that Snute will be able to do on the aggressive side of things. So we see Solar already feeling confident enough to start droning back up, and this is huge. I mean, this is why I don't like early pulls on a map like this.
With not the exposed natural.
Yeah, with not the exposed natural and just one single ramp leading into, a tiny ramp leading into both bases. So, I mean, Solar with doing a good job there.
So this is pretty much Snoot's just trying to contain and drone up, and he's playing super gritty. He's getting 2 hatcheries, so he's literally not going to make a single unit. He does have speed, so he will be able to prevent scouting from Solar, at least from Zerglings, and Queens will shoot away into the Overlord. So he's pretty much just hoping that Solar doesn't push out.
Yeah. Pretty much. But I mean, Solar doesn't have the capability to push out because Snute knows that Solar went for a baneling nest first, so his speed should be pretty delayed, and he's left some units back here. I kind of wish that he had 1 ling back at home just in case Solar breaks out anytime soon, and he is sending some links back, and those are to be morphed into banelings potentially, again, if Solar commits to a big attack, and that could be a way back into the game for Snute, who is trying to take the 3rd base, like you mentioned, and trying to take that economic lead, where Solar is going to be taking the tech lead.
Yeah, and Snoot's got to assume that Spire's going to be on the way. Like, he got the Spine, might as well camp up onto base, slowly go to Spire, and just have that advantage that he did before.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's why Snute needs to secure the third base before Muta are out, so that he can set up static defense there and gain some sort of advantage. Like, he wants to hold on to an economic lead, and he doesn't really have it right now. That's the awkward thing for Snute, is that normally when you're going up against Muta, you will have more drones, and you will have a faster third. But Snute, because he opened so aggressively, he's in a really tough position to win this game.
So, you think Snute will try to go for that Roach Queen
Nidus? It's quite possible.
Like, I feel like that's the only way. Like, there's no creep spread, and he's got to assume Mutas are out.
But I mean, even then, he doesn't even have a lair yet, so I don't think there's a timing where
you think he's just gonna
be able to do it. And there's already banelings out, and Solar's being the player that he is, he's gonna be looking for something like that. And now he knows that there's no lair, so he doesn't even have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Snute is again trying to catch back up in economy, taking some risks. He is actually gonna pull ahead in the worker count, but Solar with a lot of links here, and Snute needs to defend this with, you know, his banelings. Oh no, that's huge. So yeah, Snute losing one of those banelings is gonna be actually pretty big, and a second one's gonna fall pretty easily. So yeah, Snute with only one baneling left,
and that is a lot.
And look at the fact that he's not producing links, because he identifies that he needs to defend with very little in order to stay in the game.
Queen.
He needs his economy to, you know, be making drones, not circling. So it's if this was a more even game, he would have made more links. But because he is behind, he had to get the good baneling shots there, and wasn't able to. I mean, 2 banelings got picked off with relative ease, and that made it so that Solar was able to do enough pressure that he is gonna be catching up in economy and be ahead in tech at this point in time. So yeah, a really difficult position for Snute. In production, we already have the Mutas are actually out. Additional defense onto the ground, but I doubt that Snute is going to find any damage here. He's just going to have to run back with his links and set up some defense for the Muta, but now he's contained, and Solar is very free to just
do whatever he wants.
Yeah, he can drone up, he can take a fourth, he can tech switch into anything he wants. Now, the mistake that Solar could make, yet again, is to overcommit to Muta, and that could be the way back into the game for Snute. Now, taking down a baneling is pretty big, and the Queen is an even bigger threat for the Muta, so
he can just stream in lings.
Yeah, and again, Snute doesn't want to make too many spores or anything like that, because he's in such an awkward position.
And no layer, so like, what do you actually do as Snute to come back? Like, you obviously have to go to layer.
Yeah, he's been trying to hold on to that economic lead that we were talking about. Now, with the Muta out and this many links for Solar, I think that he might just be able to close out the game, because Snute is going to be focusing on probably picking off banelings from Solar, making it impossible for him to defend with less links than
and that's just a huge amount.
Yeah, that might just be it. Snute making a lot of extra links, but picking off the Queens as well is going to continue to grant Solar so much map control, and really not, you know, there's not any threat to his army. So again, he's continuing to add Muta, but this time around he's transitioning into quick lurkers, and that's pretty much gonna make it so that he is extremely safe and can be really aggressive. The weakness of lurkers is how immobile they are, because they can only attack while burrowed, which means that, you know, they have to move and then burrow and then attack. So they're very positional units. That's why they're so great at defenses, because they're already going to be burrowed, so you're going to be running into firing lurkers. But otherwise, they can easily be zoned out. So the cool thing about Muta Lurker is that Muta grant you map control, which allow your lurkers to move freely into a position where it's going to be impossible to deal with them. If you don't have, huh?
It's good. It sounds really dirty. Like, how are you supposed to stop that as an opposing Zerg player?
Well, it's like you're not supposed to be this behind. You know, like there's other advantages that you should have at this point in time. But obviously, just given the opener, Snute is in such a tough position.
Oh wow! If he snipes this, is that an infestation pit or Hydra?
No, that was a Hydra then. So Snute is going for the infestation pit and the Hydra then. That's pretty much exactly what I would do. Snute is probably looking to make infestors and then lurkers himself to try and drag out the game as much as possible. So if you go into infestors and then lurkers and then maybe vipers, there's not much of anything that Zerg has that breaks that unit composition. You know, short of the same unit composition. So what I would like to see from Solar, if this game comes to a standstill, is swarm hosts.
Mm-hmm.
Swarm hosts can actually be great when you have map control like this because they will trade with lurkers and will keep your your opponent's economy down, and it won't cost you anything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whereas if you're committing to units and they have the perfect defensive setup with infestors, lurkers, and then blinding cloud and vipers and parasitic bomb later on, it's going to be really hard. But like we said, the Muta are going to allow for the lurkers to get him in a position that's going to be pretty much impossible to defend for Snute. There's just nothing he can do. Reinforcements are completely cut off from the ramp, and Solar is just going to leapfrog with this lurkers and just close things out from here. There's just not much, if anything at all, that Snute can do. So unfortunately for him, he put up a great fight against Solar, but it's just simply not going to be enough.
GG's called.
GGing out. What a series we had. But Solar is going to take it.
Yeah.
Pretty much the expected victor, but he has dropped a game in each match, once against Euthermal, once against Snute. And his next opponent will be, of course, the winner of MC versus Polt coming up next. Go to esportgaming.com/root to place your bets. If you don't want to bet real money, you can still bet gold and make an account and support us. Actually, I got word from Esport Gaming that they're pretty sure that we're going to get an approval for a third event because of how great this has been going. So congrats to you guys and keep it up. They really love the StarCraft 2 community and yeah.
Which is really great. Passionate.
Yeah. So good job, guys. At least they like you.